Currently, we have a wide variety of both cameras and drones in the fence, and each one behaves a bit different when it comes to being outside of the building. So, for example, drones will disconnect and the cameras will stay connected. What are the main changes? We've defined the same set of rules for drones and cameras. This means that if drones get outside of the building, they will lose its connection after a few seconds, and cameras will behave in the same way. This is affecting black eyes, bulletproof camera, and also Maestro Evil Eyes. So with these changes, we're expecting Valkyrie to get a bit stronger when she's inside the building, because she will waste less cameras outside, more presence of cameras inside. And we're also expecting the frustration to be reduced for attackers when facing her, specifically in those maps where approaching the building is already a challenge. We also have a secondary issue that is related to Zeros, Argus cameras and Valkyries. Currently it takes a lot of time to get access to the camera right after deployment, and this is something that we want to fix. What we're doing is that we're allowing players to connect to their cameras even before they finish the deployment, which means that you can be holding on the camera with a connecting screen, and when the deployment is finished, you have instant access to the camera feed. In the current implementation, Finca can help other teammates to stand up from down but not out, but she cannot help herself. So we think this is something that we need to change. If she has available charges, she can trigger the ability and she will stand up.
Razor shelling.
The Thorns gadget is called the Razor Bloom shell. It's a sticky device that you can throw pretty much everywhere on the map, and it's going to stick on pretty much any surfaces. So when it comes to designing the look of the device, it's something that starts very early in the production of the operator. The device is very mechanical, very engineered, very high-tech to get away from something that's maybe a bit more handmade. So Thorns loadout is quite unique because we're introducing a brand new weapon, the UZKGI. If you don't recognize the name, it's normal because it's completely custom-made here in-house by our team. It's a small SMG, but don't get fooled by the small size of the weapon because it really packs a punch. It's chambered in 50 cal, so it really hits hard. It's a low fire rate, but it can really deal some damage. It will create quite a lot of destruction. And so you can use it to really play vertically and make holes in walls. It's really useful in that way.
Hey, it's me again. Firstly, thank you so much for all your Elite 2.0 combinations. It's been a blast watching social media explode with all the awesome and unique creations. So as we teased in the previous season with customizable headgears and uniforms, I'm excited to announce that this season we're fully ready to release the Elite 2.0 complete package. You'll be able to customize between your ability skins, your victory dances, and your customizable op cards. I'm also excited to announce that we'll be releasing a brand new MTX category, the exotic weapon skins. The animated weapon skins will arrive for Season 4. Here's a sneak peek of what it will look like. Our new exotic MTX category will open the door to tons of brand new possibilities in the future.
The current HUD has a few issues, one of which is that the game has changed a lot in the past few years. Unfortunately, the HUD remained pretty much the same. We've also looked at the future operators and the ambitions of the team, and there's a real need for a reshuffle of information we're showing. You might not know this, but Siege's UI is based on Flash. And internally, we created a new tool called Phoenix. Basically, is faster, it's easier to work with, more future-proof. It's the perfect time for a rework of the HUD. And now, at a glance, you can get a quick impression of what your inventory is consisted of. You don't have to switch to your gadget, say, to see if you have a certain ammo type equipped. For example, Zofia or Capital. We've also streamlined the way we represent resources, for example, Cavera and Warden. It's a bar that depletes and refills over time. They're shown similarly in the HUD. We also separated cooldowns from resources. For example, Clash has both, She has a resource bar for her electricity, but also the cooldown in between the shots that she can fire. We removed all the text in favor of icons, so we're way more specific in the icons. So if you're deploying an ADS, now the icon will show an ADS being deployed. If you're picking up a frost mat, that's the icon you will see. Last but definitely not least is the compass. It's now central to the HUD. Now the compass, for whatever's in front of you, is divided into 3 parts. You have what's above you, what's on the same level as you are, and what's under you. We've also added a ton of new world markers into the compass. So before you only had the yellow pings, but now you have the marked positions, you have the objective markers, you also have the player death markers. We've also added a new module called the ping location reminder. It'll show the floor and the location of the ping so you can make better callouts. We've added a ton of new customization options. I suggest that you visit the new options menu. We've added a new tab for the HUD, and from there you can customize your HUD more than ever. And we're looking into ever adding more options, so eventually scaling and maybe move things around.
Terror protection is our top priority, so we want to do it well. This is why we were taking our time with this feature. Our content creators are extremely important for the success of Rainbow, so we are in discussion with them to make sure that we are offering something that is tailored to their needs. However, we want to protect all players, so we will allow everyone to use an alter ego in the game that they can change in between matches so that they can have more privacy. Paired with a bunch of new settings that coming with them, we are hoping to alleviate the risk of being targeted negatively in game.
We're moving away from the static team colors. So from now on, in the accessibility tab, you can customize them, meaning that if you want to set your allies team to be red, and if you want to set your enemies team to be orange, you can do so now. We know that the color selection for now is not so great for our colorblind players, but we're willing to make this compromise for now, knowing that we're going to be adding a ton of new color options in the future. Gadgets in the world are eventually going to be showing the alliance. What that means is if we're throwing a C4, the light on the C4 will reflect if it's an enemy or an allied gadget. We're looking at the Claymore currently and also the barbed wire. Eventually, we're looking at adding more and more game objects that will reflect the colors that you chose in the accessibility options.
Outback's a relatively new map. There were problems with it, despite doing our due diligence. People found it hard to navigate. Anchoring on the sites was actually quite hard, and we want the map to go into Pro League, into Ranked, and we want it to be competitive. So we decided to go through and actually look at the problems, talk to the pro players and talk to the community and see what they think the problems are and how we can address them. It's Outback version 2. It's much, much better. It's a lot more fun to play now. The outside was a little bit cluttered and people seemed to have a problem orientating themselves towards where the bomb site was when, once you've droned and actually found it. So we've gone through and addressed those issues, cleaned up the map, cleaned up the outside a little bit, and made sure the navigation and flow on the inside is actually much cleaner. Sam and Maddie worked really hard on the garage because it was a less picked bomb site for Office, and it was always a choke point. It was never fun to play, and you always ended up playing really off-site. So all of the changes, making it smaller and changing the windows, adding cover and just making that area much cleaner has helped the map massively. Pirate Room in Office is now much easier to defend. We've added an exterior breakable wall and office supply, which really aids the ebb and flow of the attack and defense on that site. There was a major change in restaurant where we've split the rooms into 2 between Shark, which actually aids the navigation and flow because it's easier. It was a large open area, and making it a little bit smaller and a bit more comfortable has actually made it an awful lot more fun and a lot more fun to navigate in, especially if you're attacking. Obviously in the original map, Open Terrace was open and it was exterior. Now it's interior and it actually connects piano and resto. So what you've got now is when you come up the stairs towards Terrace, where it used to be, obviously it's enclosed, there's a double door that's barricaded, and it makes for an interesting way to enter the building, especially if you need to get upstairs onto the second floor. But it's also an awful lot more fun because you hide your drone in terrace and you can get a few sneaky lines of sight and you can see where people are setting up their defenses. So now it's actually a massive improvement to that area. So the motel rooms have been cleaned up. There was a lot of props, so it's actually been cleaned up. The closet's moved and the bathroom is also an awful lot cleaner now. It was a little bit messy and it was hard to see. It's a much simpler layout now. So Dawn's laundry has gone to laundry piano. Even though it's a relatively small change, it hasn't moved massively. It means it's easier to defend. The roamers have an easier time because it's easier to navigate for the flow. So it's actually made the site an awful lot more fun. There's always a few choke points into that thing and people will just anchor in the corner and just spray the walls. So cleaning it up and actually moving the site has improved that area massively. With the windows being moved, tweaked, and we have removed quite a few windows from the map, it actually is an awful lot more comfortable. You can anchor on the bomb sites. You can roam much easier as well. Going through and fixing these problems one by one, and as the map gets better and better and better, the play sessions get more and more fun. That's always the best thing to see, is when everyone's having fun, because if we're having fun, I know the community's going to have fun.